what you'll ever do.
What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the Puncher's Point. Now, you got Mario here, however, not Breezy. Unfortunately, Breezy is dealing with some power outages in his area, so he couldn't make it today. Again, not his fault, wishing all the best of luck to Breezy, and I'm hoping that he'll be back soon. However, we had to get this prediction episode out. Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois is right around the corner, September 21st in Wembley. And this is going to be for the IBF Heavyweight Championship, the former championship that Oleksandr Usyk had when he became undisputed. However, that ended up getting dropped or stripped. Obviously, there was a whole deal with that. And Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois is now going to be fought for the IBF Championship. Now, for both of these guys, it's very interesting. Obviously, for Anthony Joshua, he's been on a roll, obviously, with his win over Otto Wallin, and shortly after that, his impressive KO win over Francis Ngannou. And as far as Daniel Dubois, after that loss to Usyk, he really started picking up and wrapping up wins, and he had some impressive wins against Jarrell Miller and Filip Hrgovic, so Daniel Dubois is slowly on the come up. Now, if we're going to do this episode, I want to do it right. So Breezy is not with us physically. However, I had Breezy send in his strengths and weaknesses, and we're going to read those along, and I'm going to give mine as well. And we're going to do that for both fighters. So that's going to be the format of this episode. And I got his prediction right here. So he can't get out of the scoring predictions. So, but at the same time, he also has a chance to rack up points as well with these predictions. Right now, the score is 21-19. I'm in the lead by 2 points. However, with this fight, anything can happen, anything can change. So, what? Let's get straight into it. We're going to start off with Anthony Joshua now. I'm going to start off with Breezy's strength. So, Breezy said that Anthony Joshua, he is a very powerful puncher. Obviously, we know that. We've seen what he can do, and we've seen all of the legends that he has been in the ring with, and we've seen how he was able to handle and knock out some of those legends as well. He puts his punches together very nicely, and that's one of the most underrated things about Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is a boxer. I remember going back in the day, a lot of people would question whether or not Anthony Joshua was a good fighter. Everybody said, "Oh, this guy is just a fitness model," but he's a lot more than that. Yeah, the guy's got, an incredible build. However, there's more in Anthony Joshua than what the eye sees, and a lot of people completely forgot about that. He's got great head movement. He's an underrated counterpuncher. That is what I agree with. He is a very, very underrated counterpuncher, and that is, in my opinion, his most dangerous skill. Not one of the most, but the most dangerous skill that Anthony Joshua has. Especially ever since he's went on this darkness retreat, that specific skill in general has completely skyrocketed. He's a lot more patient, which means he relies a lot more on those counter punches. Now, he also said, even though AJ has a history of getting touched up in close range, he has the ability to counterpunch even when he's touched up and to kind of still stay into the fight. He has that ability to keep on pushing forward and keep on fighting forward. And that's one of the things I respect about Anthony Joshua. Now, a lot of people are going to be in the comments and say, well, Anthony Joshua's heart isn't always on display, and we will get to that. So I just want to make sure that y'all in the comments stay tuned into this episode because we will get to that. Now, as far as the strengths that I had for Anthony Joshua, he's a completely different fighter, like I said, since this retreat. It seems like since this retreat, Anthony Joshua has been on a roll. He's more patient. He's more aware, and he picks his shots very, very nicely. And the truth is, this was something that Anthony Joshua would struggle with, picking his shots, picking the right time to land those shots. It seemed like in the Ruiz fight and the Oleksandr Usyk fight, with Usyk, he couldn't outbox him. And with Ruiz, he couldn't handle the power. So it seemed like he couldn't pick his shots the way he wanted to. Now, to counter argue that, some people might say, well, the two guys he's fought since being back on that retreat is Otto Wallin, who is a decent fighter, but I wouldn't consider him a top 10 heavyweight, and Francis Ngannou, who's an MMA fighter that converted to boxing. So a lot of people are going to make that argument. However, from what we've seen, we can only judge off of what we've seen. Anthony Joshua has improved tremendously since this retreat. Anthony Joshua's got a very, very slick jab, and that is a tool that he's had even before the retreat early in his career. Anthony Joshua has a slick jab, and I feel like that jab is definitely going to be a key piece of this fight and a key part of the fight and how he could win it. Now, I apologize if I keep looking down. My notes are on my lap, and I got Breezy's notes on my phone, so bear with me, guys, okay? I know the comments they're gonna be like, "Why does he keep looking down? Keep eye contact with the audience." We gonna try. We gonna try. Anthony Joshua is very quick on his feet, and if I had to pick a hand that he is more dominant with, I would say he has a very strong right hand. Not saying that the left isn't strong, but the right hand in specifics, that's the one that you have to watch out for if you're Daniel Dubois. You cannot go in there and just take right hands to the jaw from Anthony Joshua. It's not a good idea. And last but not least, Anthony Joshua is a good outside fighter. He's a very, very good outside boxer, and I believe that's where he does his best work. Now, as far as the weaknesses, we're gonna go back to Breezy. So weaknesses, pressure, he tends to not handle pressure as well with a lot of power punchers. And in a fight, there's a bit of power that could hurt Anthony Joshua. Obviously, we've seen it in the Ruiz fight. We've seen it with Usyk. Usyk might not have the power of Deontay Wilder or a Jarrell Miller. Um, Zheli Zhang, Francis Ngannou, but he's got underrated power, and I believe that's a very underrated skill of Usyk's. But we're not here to talk about Usyk. We're here to talk about Anthony Joshua, and I believe that power was a problem in both of those fights. I believe that Anthony Joshua respected the power from Usyk, and that was the reason why he kind of also struggled in that fight as well. Sometimes when the fight turns into a war, that hunger is gone from Anthony Joshua. Now, to that comment, I say this. While that is true, I mean, you can go back to the fights that Anthony Joshua struggled with. While that is true, we haven't seen how he handles that pressure ever since that retreat. I know I keep talking about this retreat, but this retreat is crucial. When he went on that 4-day retreat, we made a video on it and we said, Anthony Joshua, we were like, this is crazy, this is silly, and we didn't take it seriously. However, when he came out of that retreat, he was a whole different animal. And I don't know what Anthony Joshua we're going to be getting against Daniel Dubois. I think this is his first real test. And I think this is the test that we're going to look at and we're going to be like, can Anthony Joshua stay into the fight, handle the pressure from somebody like Dubois, and be able to bounce back and be able to show the world that he is a different breed? And that's what's going to be proven in this fight. But I do agree that in the past, his hunger hasn't been the best. He hasn't been as motivated, in my opinion, in some fights that he should have been. Now, as far as my weaknesses for Anthony Joshua, the problem with Anthony Joshua is, again, we haven't seen him tested since that retreat. He tenses up when being pressured, as Breezy says. He gets clipped on the inside, and that is why I want Anthony Joshua to keep this fight on the outside, is because he does get clipped on the inside. I'm not saying Anthony Joshua can't knock somebody out on the inside. Obviously, with a long and accomplished career that Anthony Joshua has had, yeah, he can fight on the inside. But do I want to see him fight onto the inside with somebody like Daniel Dubois? 20 of his wins have came from knockout? Absolutely not. I think that's a foolish idea. Regardless of what Anthony Joshua has accomplished, that's not what I want to see. I want to see Anthony Joshua outbox Daniel Dubois. And I believe that is his best way to win in this fight. But as a weakness, it's the inside. Sometimes I feel like if he does get clipped, it's going to be from the inside. And especially against power punchers, that could be a big, big problem. And last but not least, his chin is still in question. He didn't get hurt against Wallin. He didn't really get hurt against Francis Ngannou. So the question is, can his chin handle the power from Daniel Dubois? And that's going to be another question that has to be answered in this fight. And I believe it can. I believe his chin can handle it. You know what I'm saying? But in order for that to be proven, AJ is going to have to go into this fight and he's going to take some shots. He's going to take some licks. There's no way that he's going to go into this fight and he's going to dominate it the way he did with Wallin and Ngannou. He's going to have to come into this fight and he is going to have to take some shots from Dubois. But the question is, if you take those shots, can you consistently move forward and keep on outboxing Dubois, keep on applying the pressure to Dubois? That's going to be the question right there. So I would say the keys to victory for Anthony Joshua is basically, use quick 1-2 combos. And when we get to the weaknesses of Daniel Dubois, I'm going to explain why. But that's one of them. Counterpunch every single time he comes forward. Daniel Dubois is that type of fighter that's just going to keep on charging forward and he's not going to stop. So you're going to have to rely on your counterpunching ability. You're going to have to stay patient. You're going to have to pick your shots the way you did against Wallin, the way you did against Ngannou, and even the way you did against Helenius. I know Helenius wasn't the prettiest win, but you're going to have to pick your shots and you're going to have to counterpunch the way you did with him. And last but not least, stick him with the jab and set up from there. You start with the jab and you set up from there. Whatever combos you want to throw from there, you set him up with the jab. You don't just go in there and you don't just throw a hook and an uppercut or a 1-2. You have to start with the jab, in my opinion. I believe if you do that, then it's going to be an easy win for Anthony Joshua. Now, how can Daniel Dubois win this fight? See, the thing is with Daniel Dubois, I don't believe a lot of people take Daniel Dubois seriously. He had that controversial quote unquote nut shot against Oleksandr Usyk, and a lot of people were like, that was a body shot. He should have won that title. But then when he got beat by Usyk, everybody started making jokes about Daniel Dubois and just how awkward he is. Some people rock with Dubois. I've seen the Instagram and the Twitter comments. Some people said Daniel Dubois is going to get that knockout on AJ. Now, I don't know if that's because they truly believe in Dubois or because they're Anthony Joshua haters. I don't know what the case may be with that. However, it's no doubt that the favorite in this fight is going to be Anthony Joshua. So Daniel Dubois, what's he going to have to do? Well, let's get to his strengths real quick. Two very, very powerful hands. This is the type of guy that I believe he is better with the left hook. However, this is the type of guy that I don't want to test either hand with. I'm not going to be that type of guy. The game plan for Dubois isn't going to be force him to throw with his right. It's not going to be that because he's got power in both of those hands. And the problem is with that, he's the type of guy, like I said, 21 wins, 20 of them coming from knockout. He's that type of guy that's got power in both of his hands, and he has that type of power that has hurt AJ in the past. So Daniel Dubois, he has a chance to win this fight. And I'm not saying that as an Anthony Joshua hater or a Daniel Dubois believer. I'm saying that realistically, he has a chance to win this fight. This Daniel Dubois has a chance to win the IBF championship and to get that rematch against Usyk. However, those two powerful hands, that's what's going to get him there, excuse me. He has a beautiful overhand rights. That's a shot. That's a punch that he knocks out a lot of opponents with. Like I said, he has a good left hook, and that left hook, I believe, is a little more dominant. It's not used as frequently, but it's a little more dominant. However, the right hand, that's a punch that he's knocked out a lot of guys with, and it's a punch that Anthony Joshua cannot make the mistake of slipping into. Killer body shots. I mean, if we're talking about body punches in the heavyweight division, Daniel Dubois is up there. Let me tell you that right now. Daniel Dubois has got some killer body shots. And it's not even just against Usyk. If you go back to some of his prior fights, he works the body and he works it pretty dang efficiently. And he don't stop. The problem is Daniel Dubois, when he starts digging into that body, I mean, watch out, man, because his opponents, they start feeling the effect of that immediately. I believe that if he can land some of those body shots against Anthony Joshua, if he can catch Anthony Joshua in moments on the inside and land some of those body punches, I believe Anthony Joshua is going to start feeling the effect of it. And then that's when Anthony Joshua's mentality and will is going to be tested with somebody like Daniel Dubois. High volume puncher. Daniel Dubois is constantly moving forward and he's constantly throwing punches. Even though his stamina and his gas take might not be the best in recent fights, I shouldn't even say recent fights. In the Usyk fight, it wasn't the best. However, in recent fights, it's gotten better. But even though his gas tank might not be the best in that division, he's going to constantly throw punches at you and he's going to constantly be a threat. And I believe that is because of the high volume punches that he has. And he's very good with level changing as well. He's that type of guy that's not just going to aim for your head or aim for your body. He's that type of guy that's going to start high, start using a little bit of feints and kind of come down low. Or he will be that type of guy to, start with an overhand and hit you with an uppercut. He's got all these unpredictable combos. And like I said, a very awkward guy. His fight style is not the most pure, but that's what makes Daniel Dubois a contender, is because he is an unpredictable fighter. He's an underrated boxer. I'm not saying he's on the Usyk level. I'm not saying he's on the Tyson Fury level. I'm not even saying he's on the Anthony Joshua level. What I'm saying is he's a very underrated boxer. He's not like a Deontay Wilder who's just going to go in there and throw some wild hooks. He's not like He's not like, help me out here. Let me think. I think his boxing is better than Jaylee Zhang's. I think that he is a very, very good boxer. And I do think that is a nice key skill of his, that he is an underrated boxer. And so I believe that with Daniel Dubois, he is going to show that he is a decent boxer. He might not be able to hang with Anthony Joshua on the outside, but I think we're going to start seeing some good boxing skills in this fight from Daniel Dubois. Now, as far as the strengths that Breezy had for Daniel Dubois, he can move around, and again, maybe not as much as an Usyk or a Tyson Fury, but he can move around and it works for him, and especially for the size that he is. He has some nice pop in his punches, and he's consistent to the body at times. So basically the same strengths that I had. And he's got a very nice jab. While I do agree with that, that will be the only thing that I slightly disagree with Breezy, is he does have a nice jab, but he doesn't use it enough. And I believe that in this fight, he's going to have to use his jab a little bit more. He's going to have to use that jab to go into the inside. But I don't think he uses it enough or as efficient as he would like to use it. So that would be the only strength that I would disagree with Breezy. Now, as far as the weaknesses, he can only fight his fight. This is my weakness. He can only fight his fight. That means that if you want to, if Anthony Joshua says, fight me on the outside and let's see who's better, he can't do that. If somebody like Zhayli Zhang or Bacoli, I'm trying to think of some good power punchers here. If somebody tries to test him and be like, let's fight on the inside, it it won't work. He has to fight at the tempo that he sets. And if he don't set that tempo, it's going to be a rough night for Daniel Dubois. The other weaknesses that he has is he struggles against quick two-punch combos. That's the thing. Daniel Dubois, if you want to stay into the inside and go punch for punch with him, he's gonna beat you. But if you just throw a nice quick 1-2, maybe a nice 1-2-3, and then you slip out, that's the type of style that frustrates Daniel Dubois. And that is how Usyk was able to go in there after he got knocked down and basically control the fight, and he was able to break down Daniel Dubois, was through that. So I do believe that a weakness for Daniel Dubois is he has to control the tempo. And if he can't, then it's going to be a hard time for him to win this fight. The other weakness is he struggles against outside fighters and they frustrate him. Usyk, you can even go back to the Filip Hrgovic fight. There were times where Filip Hrgovic was frustrating him before the doctors ended up stopping the fight and everything like that. But that's why I said Anthony Joshua needs to fight onto the outside, and that is why I said Anthony Joshua needs to land 1-2 punch combinations, not all these 5 punches, 6 punches. It's not going to work. 1-2 combinations and you slip out. Don't give Daniel Dubois any room to progress in this fight. Don't give him any time to come forward. Just 1-2 punches and back out. Now, the keys for Daniel Dubois, how's he going to win this fight? You got to work your way to the inside. You got to make your power known early. You got to let Anthony Joshua know that if you decide to move forward and try to fight me on the inside, I'm going to pop you and you are going to feel it. That's what you got to make Anthony Joshua realize. Keep pushing forward and attacking. Keep pushing forward and attacking. That's what you got to do. You got to keep pushing forward. You got to keep attacking. Don't fall for the counter punches. But at the same time, even though Breezy said that one of his weaknesses is he tends to get a little greedy on the inside, well, I do believe that. I believe that's the only way he's going to win this fight is going to the inside. Daniel Dubois is not going to be able to outbox Anthony Joshua because A, he's not the best outside fighter, and B, because Anthony Joshua, it seems like he is the taller fighter. You know, he probably has the bigger reach. So he's not going to be able to beat Anthony Joshua on the outside. You're going to have to go into the inside. You're going to have to impose your will on Anthony Joshua, and you got to make it tough on him. And that's when we're going to figure out, can Anthony Joshua survive, and can he not only survive but thrive under that type of pressure? And that is one of the biggest questions that we have about Anthony Joshua. Now, overall, those are the weaknesses that Daniel Dubois has. Now, as far as Breezy, he did mention that he gets a little too comfortable on the inside. Examples with somebody like Jarrell Miller, who's close to 300 pounds, has got a lot of pop in his punches. He also said that he's weak to the body. I didn't even think about that. Daniel Dubois, I mean, he doesn't, even though he's a killer body puncher, and he's probably one of the best in the heavyweight division, he can't take those body punches like a lot of others can. That's the thing. And so, say what you want about Tyson Fury, all you like, but Tyson Fury could take body punches for days. I mean, he eats those like it's nothing. And so I believe that Daniel Dubois, that might be a weakness, and that could be something that Anthony Joshua can try to attack. However, it's going to be really hard for Anthony Joshua to attack that body, and I don't think he's going to do it as well as he should because I don't think he's going to risk going into the inside with Daniel Dubois. But I could be wrong. That could be a key. If Anthony Joshua was able to battle on the inside, that might be a key. But if we're talking about body punches, I think Daniel Dubois is going to be the one who's going to outland Anthony Joshua. Now, since we mentioned the strengths, weaknesses, and keys to victory, I want to go to the odds. So, as far as the betting odds right now, Anthony Joshua is a minus 550 favorite, while Daniel Dubois is a plus 370 underdog. Now, the over under for this is 7.5 rounds, and right now the over and the under are both tied at minus 112. If we're talking about the method to victory, the most likely outcome is going to be Anthony Joshua by KO/TKO. The least likely will always be a draw, but besides the draw, it will be Daniel Dubois by points. So I'm going to give Breezy's prediction. Okay. Breezy's prediction is this: Anthony Joshua is going to knock out or TKO Daniel Dubois in the 10th round, specifically a TKO victory by Anthony Joshua in the 10th round. Now, my prediction is very similar. I'm going to go ninth. I think Anthony Joshua is going to have a very similar performance to Usyk without the quote unquote nut shot. I think he is going to have a very similar performance against Usyk. I think he is going to outbox him. I think there's going to be moments when Daniel Dubois, is going to go into the inside and he might clip Anthony Joshua pretty good. He might work his body a little bit. And there's going to be some rounds where Daniel Dubois wins. I believe before this fight gets stopped, it is going to be 5 rounds to 3, 6 rounds to 2, Anthony Joshua. And then he's going to end it in a 9. That's my opinion. He might knock him down once and Daniel Dubois gets back up like we saw in the Usyk fight. Usyk knocked him down a couple of times before they called the fight. But I do believe it's going to be very similar to Usyk's performance. I believe it's going to end in the same round that Usyk ended Dubois. And the reason why I say that is because I believe Anthony Joshua is going to look just as good as Usyk did against Dubois, if not better. That's my opinion. I believe as of right now, from what I've seen, and I could be wrong. I'm not saying this is a 100% fact. I'm not saying I would bet my house on this or anything like that. But what I will say is this: the Anthony Joshua that I have seen in the last 2 fights is the scariest Anthony Joshua, and this is the scariest heavyweight in the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua, if the Anthony Joshua from the past 2 fights, if that's the Anthony Joshua that we see, except going longer rounds, I'm gonna be honest, he's gonna win that undisputed heavyweight championship. That is my personal opinion right there. I could be wrong, but this is why I say Daniel Dubois is the perfect test for Anthony Joshua because there's no way around it. Otto Wallin, not a top 10 heavyweight. Francis Ngannou had a good performance against Tyson Fury, but it took that performance against Tyson Fury for Anthony Joshua to pick apart and destroy Francis Ngannou. Daniel Dubois not only is on a good hot streak, not only has he's gotten some good recognition from Turkey Al Sheik in the Riyadh season and everything like that. Not only has he beat guys like Filip Hrgovic, Jarrell Miller, but Daniel Dubois is a very, very tough challenge for Anthony Joshua. And he possesses the one thing that Anthony Joshua has struggled with his entire career: power punchers. Andy Ruiz, Oleksandr Usyk may not be a power puncher, but he does have a lot of power and it's a respectable power. Those are the guys that Anthony Joshua has struggled with throughout the years. And I believe that Daniel Dubois has the fighting style and he has all the tools to beat Anthony Joshua. But this is where Anthony Joshua is going to get tested. Is he more hungry than he was before? Is his will there? Is this a new Anthony Joshua? All that is going to get figured out on September 21st in Wembley Stadium. In Wembley. It's all going to get figured out September 21st in Wembley. And this is going to be a massive, massive fight. And I can't wait to see it. And again, it is going to be for the IBF championship. If Usyk didn't drop that championship or he didn't get stripped, then maybe it's just another Anthony Joshua fight. The fact that the IBF championship is on the line here, and this is a potential chance for not only Daniel Dubois, but Anthony Joshua to get back that loss from Oleksandr Usyk, it's huge. And I do believe that this is a fight that both of these guys need. And if you ask me who needs it more, I think they both need it. I really do. I can't pick one guy. They're both on a hot streak. They both proven that they are both great boxers. And in Wembley, we're gonna figure out which one's better. And who knows? Tyson Fury could beat Usyk in the rematch, and then we get Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, or Tyson Fury versus Daniel Dubois. Oleksandr Usyk can win the rematch, and then we get to see if Dubois or AJ can avenge that loss that they have on their record. All that's going to be proven on September 21st. September 21st is going to be a big night for the heavyweight division. And with that being said, again, Breezy is not here with us today. We do miss him. He is definitely missed. He will be back soon. I promise you that. Unfortunately, when storms hit, you get power outages. And I know Breezy wanted to be here. I know that he wanted to give his points. I know he probably wanted to, kind of hype it up. But unfortunately, he was unable to do that. We were trying to find substitutes, but nothing seemed to come across. So I was like, you know what? It's up to me. I hope I carried at least this episode relatively well. But if I didn't, and y'all didn't like just me talking, if y'all prefer Breezy, well, guess what? Breezy's going to be back in a little bit. So, y'all just got to hang tight. But with that being said, whether it's just me, whether it's just Breezy, whether it's both of us, again, y'all need to continue to tune into the Puncher's Point. And the reason why I say that is because, again, every single point that we make on here, it's real. We don't give in to the boxing fans. A lot of our takes, they might not be the popular ones, but what we're going to tell you is we're being honest, we're being real. We mess up just like everybody else. There's times where we get fact checked, and we appreciate the fact checks, okay? Because we rather be corrected and keep on spilling false information. But overall, if you're looking for a place where you can find good boxing predictions, advice on betting, if you want to look for a place where you're going to get the updates, you're going to be in tune for the best fights. If you are a boxing quote unquote casual or you are a new fan, you got to tune into the Puncher's Point. We're going to get you all set up. If you have been a fan for years, you got to tune into the Puncher's Point. We got it all for you. So, with that being said, this is your call to action. Make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.